Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast of Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babley Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television, members of parliament of the opposition political party, the Social Democratic Front, are bent on putting the Anglophone crisis on the table during the November session of parliament, which opened today. Speaking to reporters shortly after the opening ceremony, the SDF members of parliament said the Anglophone crisis has to be discussed in parliament. They had tried to no avail to put this issue on the table of the parliamentarians earlier. And also in this newscast, we should talk about the economic crisis rocking the country, notably with the Minister of Finance and the private sector who are now seeking strategies to boost or revamp Cameroon's economy. The Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Moutaze, was in Douala today for a consultation meeting with the private sector at the Cameroon Employers Organization, JICAM. Members of Parliament of the Social Democratic Front are once again bent on putting the socio-political and security crisis rocking the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon, the Northwest and the Southwest, on the table of parliamentarians at the ongoing parliamentary session, which opened today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Franklin Mwabe reports. Franklin Mwabe with that report on the November session of Parliament, which opened today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, with SDF parliamentarians once more determined to put the Anglophone crisis on the table. Franklin Mwabe.
At the opening of the third ordinary session of Parliament for the year 2018, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Kavayege Jibril's first address was on the church. The House Speaker said all authorities come from God and that it is a responsibility for all men of God to uphold and respect the will of the people, which according to the House Speaker reflects the will of God. On the Anglophone crisis, Kavayege Jibril asked the government to assume her responsibility and to check all attempts from any area to destabilize the country. His address on the Anglophone crisis, according to Honorable Joseph Mba Ndam of the SDF, is dear to his heart.
I saw him touch a few things that are dear to my heart. When I say that, I think of the Anglophone issue, which I hope that the new elected president is going to adopt a more profound and meaningful strategy in the solution, the final solution of the Anglophone problem. Otherwise, his oath, which I know the contents, will not be speaking well for him. So the president has had to make a speech which to me I characterize as circumstantial.
On the just ended 2018 presidential elections, discussions are still to be made at the assembly.
I know that his speech has been provoked by circumstances. We have just come out of a presidential election which harmony is yet to be established in the nation, and I could see him trying to cajole people to have a common attitude after the pronouncement, the proclamation of the results of the presidential election.
Meanwhile, discussions on the examination of the 2018 budget and adoption of the 2019 budget is still pending, as the third ordinary session of Parliament will equally witness the swearing-in of President-elect Bia Paul, which is most awaited across the national territory.
At a time when many inhabitants and even traditional leaders in several parts of the southwest region of the country have fled their homes as a result of the deepening Anglophone crisis, government has sent building materials to the southwest region for the reconstruction of destroyed houses. After receiving the building materials in the regional capital, Boya, Southwest Governor Benau Kalebilai urged all who have been displaced by the crisis to return to their villages. Derek Jato reports from Boya.
Under heavy downpour, a truck makes its entrance at Bongo Square in Boya. and on board building materials sent in by President Paul Biya through the Cameroon Minister of Territorial Administration. And the Southwest Governor, Mr. Bernard Okaliabila, is here to receive the consignment.
At this particular moment, it is the building material to construct homes that have been destroyed. The regional committee I'm heading is now receiving the material.
Madam Yap Mariatu, Director of Civil Protection in the Ministry of Territorial Administration, revealed that all the victims will benefit, and her ministry is ready to act as soon as the concerns are duly identified.
4 divisions for Southwest now, but in case that the needs maybe estimate more than that, the head of state will send us on the field to go on that locality.
Responding, the Southwest Governor, who doubles as the regional committee chair, outlined the criteria for identification.
We want to involve the traditional ruler, the chiefs of the villages, who knows who was a victim and whose houses have been destroyed.
And many people have saluted this initiative, adding that this indirect role might speed the repair and reconstruction process, but there is a big worry. Most traditional rulers and mayors are not even in their villages or municipalities. Many are on self-exile, some missing, and others dead because of the war. It is no secret that some people did not only lost their properties, but also their lives. And critics say such people are today victims of an irreparable damage because of the poor management of a crisis, the Anglophone crisis. And for years now, these tens of thousands of Southern Cameroonians are still here in Nigeria, saying that they have been rejected, chased and abandoned, and it is already November 2018. Will they come home for Christmas?
And they should come back to enjoy the end of year festivities with the entire population.
Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge of the Buya Council, after receiving another consignment for the Buya municipality, sent word to the Cameroon Minister of Territorial Administration.
We are assuring the Minister of Territorial Administration that we shall do justice, equitable justice in the distribution of these materials.
And when will he start the distribution at the level of Buya subdivision?
And we are going further to distribute the materials on the day the head of state is going to take his oath of office. This certainly will be his first gesture.
For 2 years now, the only thing that has been present is the absence of peace, especially in villages of the northwest and southwest regions.
And the destruction of properties, gun battles between pro-independence fighters and elements of the national armed forces, as well as the killing of civilians and even security and defense forces, continue in the 2 Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And added to this, a young man of about 23 years old is now under police custody for allegedly killing the mother in the northwest regional capital, Bamenda. Details in this report.
It was a difficult start of the new month for the population of Old Town neighborhood in Bamenda, chief town of the Northwest region, who woke up with the sad news that one of theirs in the neighborhood, Ma Genevieve, is no more after her son, 33-year-old Kwelong Gerard, stabbed her to death.
As narrated by the father at the judicial court, the father said in the evening they came back from the market because all of them are business persons, they do business. While in their house, Gerard asked for food. He said, okay, the mother said they should warm food for them to eat because there was food in their house, but only to heat the food. for them to eat.
The family compound was filled with sympathizers who couldn't believe that such an act could happen in their locality. Ma Genevieve was stabbed to death in the kitchen after Gerard asked for food, but it was supposed to be heated before being served to him. When Gerard returned, it was a different story.
Gerard just came in again and said his own problems are too much. That's why he said that his own problems are too much. He took a knife and stabbed the mother by the chest, just towards the heart. That's how she bleeded to death.
As the inhabitants of the Old Town neighborhood continue to wonder what must have pushed the 33-year-old to commit such a crime, sources say hard drugs might have pushed him to commit the macabre act. Though Kwelon Gerard had some abnormalities.
The mother has complained of some abnormalities, that some probably he must have been initiated somewhere, but he took Gerard to a certain church towards my phone when they call it one poultry area. So they prayed for Gerard, delivered him. He was carrying on his business normally. So I don't know what suddenly became of him to stab the mother to death.
Ma Genevieve, who hails from Mekaf village in Fungom subdivision, Menchum division of the Northwest region, leaves behind 4 sons and his husband to mourn her.
Several parts of the economic capital of the Republic of Cameroon, Douala, were inundated today as a result of a heavy downpour that hit the city. It's been a very difficult day for inhabitants of the city of Douala's Innocent reports.
This is the face of Douala throughout the day of November 2nd, 2018. Heavy and prolonged rainfall inundated most localities of the Douala city. Some areas like Aqua, Bonanjo and Jos, as well as others with good drainage channels, could not save workers or city dwellers from floods. All the streets were covered by overland flow, even impacting flexible circulation of vehicles and free movement of pedestrians. In areas with very poor drainage channels like Bali, the inundation case was most sad. Vehicles and motorbikes were almost drowned by the water pools formed. A dreadful situation which affected commercial activities in the nation's economic capital as businesses were on a standstill throughout the day. Most workers were compelled to either remain indoors or step their feet in water to get to their offices. Others, like this woman, had no choice than to shelter herself at the corner of a building for several hours, waiting for the heavy downpour to cease. Even though the rainfall stopped after several hours, these inundated localities, Bonanjo, Bali, Aqua, Jos, to mention but a few, were still impassable or difficult to access for more hours, even in a vehicle or on a motorbike. City dwellers who have been caught in the web, like this man, urges council authorities to get up from slumber and do their jobs diligently by creating more better drainage channels to remedy these recurrent and extraordinary floods hitting the city of Douala whenever it rains.
The police have seized a number of coins amounting to over 2 million francs CFA from some individuals in Douala, in the Douala 5 municipality. The individuals, including an expatriate, have been keeping the money illegally, and it should be noted that coins have practically disappeared from circulation in Cameroon. Details in this report by Smanjikan Gabriel.
It was at the Douala neighborhood of the accused that the gendarmes discovered the coins that have been scarce in the country. Apart from the coins, gendarmes also discovered the room where most of the machines used in collecting the coins are being produced. According to security sources, after the coins are gathered, they are packed in a container to be taken to China. Reasons why this container is being opened. After the successful operation at the Douala residence of the accused, they were all ferried to the gendarmerie office at Beseke, where they were exposed to the population. The coins worth 2 million francs CFA couldn't have been discovered if not for the complaints from the population, as the lead investigator Seydou Abakachi explained. It was after several complaints from the inhabitants that we were given the go-ahead by top officials. The investigation that we did led to the seizure of the coins that are being transported to China. Apart from the coins, bullets that measured 9 millimeters were also discovered. We also found bullets that measured 9 millimeters. We have asked them to provide us with the guns, which they have not been able to produce. One of the accused, Manga Etame Itel, says he is innocent. I'm waiting for my lawyer. I'm not aware of what you are saying. The two individuals, a Cameroonian and a Chinese, will prove their innocence after the investigations carried out by the gendarme officers must have been concluded.
The government of the Republic of Cameroun and the private sector are now working out strategies to revamp what some critics have qualified as the limping economy of the country. The Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, met with the private sector today at the headquarters of the Cameroon Employers Organization, GICAM, in a consultation meeting on the 2019 Finance Bill. Details in this report. Cameroon's economy, the strongest and most diversified in the Central African Economic and Monetary Community, CEMAC zone, has long been resilient to shocks, but in recent months it has witnessed a slowdown. According to experts, this is due to the negative impact of the economic recession in neighboring Nigeria, the crude oil crisis which hit the CEMAC zone, and the Anglophone crisis.
L'énorme impact économique de la crise des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest.
To illustrate the urgent need to revamp the country's economy, the president of the Cameroon Employers Organization, GICAM, highlighted the aforementioned factors at the consultation meeting between the private sector and the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, in Douala Friday. GICAM made a series of fiscal policy reform proposals handed over to the finance minister earlier this year, and the GICAM president, Celestin Tawamba, said the contribution of the private sector to economic growth depends largely on government's response to those proposals.
Sur 83 propositions que vous nous avez faites, 24 ont reçu un avis réservé.
Minister Louis-Paul Motaze said 71% of the proposals from GICAM have been adopted by government.
Et 12 sont en perspective.
Some are still being examined, while others have been rejected. Thus, the consultation meeting on the 2019 Finance Bill, aimed at enhancing the private sector's contribution
to Cameroon's economic revival.
And that's it for this edition of the news. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.